everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Erica with Memory Box Candle Co. and I make videos all about making and selling candles. In today's video, we are going to dive in a little bit deeper into the expense portion of my 2021 profit and loss statement. Now, I haven't done my taxes yet. This is just from Quickbooks, but I just kind of had everything categorized as around $70,000 in business expenses for last year. But I thought it would be interesting and educational for all of you to see where I put my money and where that money went. And also interesting for me as well. So we are just gonna go through all the different categories that I have categorized on this form and just kind of looking into where the heck I spent all that money. So the first portion of the expense category is advertising and marketing. Now, I haven't spent any money in traditional marketing. It's more of things that are considered a form of marketing. So for instance, I have Canva, Creative Market, Vistaprint, Printful, all of these things that I've used to be able to market my business. So for instance, Canva, I've designed things. I designed my business card. And then on Vistaprint, I actually print out the business card, hand it out to people, include it in orders. Printful, I've created things like the sweater that I'm wearing that says my business name on it. So this is definitely a form of marketing when I am just walking around, mainly just at the grocery store and back. That's the only place I really go to. But it is a form of marketing as well as on when I wear it in my YouTube videos. The next category is my candle cost of goods. And just like I mentioned in my last video, the candle cost of goods is essentially my product cost of goods. So everything that I sell on my website, every item that it takes to actually physically make those products is what's under this category. And I noticed something before I made this video. I was looking through and there was a category that said other business expenses. And I realized that on QuickBooks, I was able to actually click on these categories and it will take me over to what was categorized under that category. And I realized that all those things should have been categorized under the candle cost of goods. Somehow they just got miscategorized. So it added on to that total amount. And my total candle cost of goods was actually $11,138. And I just totally missed that on my last video. So I apologize about that. But that wasn't the only thing that I missed on my last video. I also didn't take into account the PayPal fees as well as my shipping labels. I, for some reason, just completely left that out. So we will add that back in this video. So my candle cost of goods, $11,138. I also had $317 in PayPal fees, as well as $6,448 in shipping labels. So when I went through, I actually did the math here for you guys. So I took my candle sales, which was around $30,200. I subtracted the cost of goods for those products, subtracted the shipping labels, and subtracted the PayPal fees. But what I also did was I added on the leftover value of my inventory. So if you didn't see my video where I was talking about what you should be doing, what I really highly recommend for you to do before the year's over, which is take a last count of your inventory, because your CPA will need that inventory total amount to do taxes with. Because if you purchase something, this is, again, I'm not giving any advice on taxes or anything. This is just what I'm under the impression of, is that if I purchase all the supplies to be resold, but it actually doesn't get sold, I can't write that off as a business expense. That's what I'm under the impression of. So I actually added on $5,809 because that was my leftover inventory value at the end of the year. So technically, I think my profit is a little over $18,000. So $18,106, give or take, is, I believe, after everything, when you take into account the cost of goods, the shipping labels, the PayPal fees for all of the transactions when people choose to pay through PayPal instead of through the Shopify payments. And then I added back on the inventory of what actually was not sold throughout the year. So this is just what was sold. Yeah, a little over 18 grand. So a little bit different than my last video. The next category is similar but different. It is the candle tools and supplies. So this is everything that I use to actually make my candles that's not a part of the finished product. So this table, these wax melts, my wax melt holder, the bookcases behind me, my shipping table, things like that, my scale, my thermometer, things that go into candle making but not into the finished product. That was $2,358 for the year. The next category is both for my YouTube business as well as my candle business. It is the filming/photo equipment category. And in this category, I spent $1,875. This is on my lenses. This is on my replica surfaces, photo boards. This is also on, I wrote this down, my props. So my props that whenever I go to Michael's and get some props to take photos with when I have different launches, that is all included in this category. The next category is graphic design expenses. Now, if you don't know, I actually do design everything myself. So everything that I've ever put out before, I do design it on Canva. But I also have my designs that I make and sell on my digital download Etsy shop. And I do go on to different platforms and I do purchase little clip arts and stuff like that to add on to these designs, as well as for my candle designs as well. I have done that before too. This category was very, very low and it was just under $72.30. I feel like I probably have spent more than that, but it probably just got categorized under maybe advertising and marketing as well. I think I kind of switched those two categories, but pretty small category. The next category is insurance, and this total amount was $2,587, which is a lot of money, but that's only because there were additional insurances that were added into this. There was a couple things with health insurance and workers' comp because I hired my boyfriend for a few months last year. I know I never brought it up because it was a very short-lived process. It ended up being a lot more expensive than I thought it was going to be. So I essentially let him go not too long after that. But there was a lot that went into that I didn't want to deal with. But then, of course, there's also my business insurance through Liberty Mutual for my candle business. But that's why the insurance is so high, is just because of all that other stuff that happened. The next category is the legal and professional services, and I am very much hoping that this is nowhere near the same amount this year as it was last year. So this is $6,754. This was my business formation, my meetings with my business attorney. I also had him do a couple other things for me as well for legal purposes. This was also all of my meetings with my CPA, as well as having her do my taxes. So this was everything combined. And again, I'm just really hoping that number can be a lot smaller for 2022. The next category is the office supplies category, and this was just about $6,400. So $6,400 for office supplies. And again, pretty self-explanatory for office supplies. So these are all like the shipping materials, the packing paper, tape, the little baggies that I use for my samples, everything that goes into the office area. And then, of course, I have the payroll area. So this was payroll expenses, taxes, and wages. So taxes was $2,211 paid as an employer in payroll taxes. If you weren't aware, when you are working as a regular employee and you pay taxes, your employer is also paying taxes too. I had no idea, so I was essentially paying double taxes every time I run payroll because I'm an employer, but I'm also the employee. So I pay payroll taxes as an employer and then also as an employee. So that's kind of how that goes as an S corporation. And then wages, I paid myself $15,471. This next category, I actually had to get my calculator out for because I realized that this all should have been under one category, but I had it under three, and it's just vendor expenses. So booth fee and the supplies that I needed to actually set up my tables and displays and all that kind of stuff. So that payment together was $1,321 in expenses. So the table covers, the little risers, the fees to actually go to the event. I also purchased a heater, things like that to help make it a lot more comfortable at the event. My little sign, my banner that I made, the lights around the canopy and all that kind of stuff, the panels. There was a lot that went into it. So I know that that was a lot more of an expense that is going to be nice in the long run, because that's an expense that I'm going to be paying once, and then I can use it all throughout the rest of the time that I do vendor events, and it's nice to have it already paid for. The next category is my Shopify monthly payment. So this is how much I pay Shopify and how much I paid Shopify over the year of 2021 altogether for the apps as well as the monthly fee, and this was $374. The next category was software and subscriptions, and that was $805. And this was mainly my Quickbooks subscription, as ironically as that is, because I use Quickbooks to categorize all of this and keep track of my bookkeeping. But it is, quite expensive to be able to have this as well as the payroll add-on, which QuickBooks does all the payroll for me. I think it's $70-something a month. I think that's what it is. But I also pay for Photoshop as well as Lightroom on Adobe, so that is a separate subscription as well. I don't think that Canva was on here, although I do pay a monthly subscription to Canva. That might have gone under the advertising and marketing. And if this isn't clear already, this was my very first year categorizing things. So I think I'm going to understand a little bit better this year on how to categorize things better. Last year was just essentially my very first time doing that. And I didn't get started until, I believe, May-ish. It was April, May. I believe it was right around that time that I started and switched over from the self-employed version over to the online version. So this was all new to me, but that was the best way that I knew how to categorize everything for last year, and I'll know a little bit better for this year. This next category is ironically not going to actually be a business expense. I'm not going to be able to write this off, and it is my candle kit cost of goods. So I am going to be having a candle making kit releasing later this month, and I spent so much time last year working on it, spending so much money on all of the supplies. So just so you know, it was $5,790 that I spent so far on getting these kits together. But because I did not sell any of them last year, technically I'm not able to write any of this off. And then the last category I was a little confused about, but it was taxes and licenses. But I clicked on it and I realized it's just money I've already paid to the IRS in taxes last year. So that was $4,854 back when I was a sole proprietorship, and my taxes worked a little bit differently. I was paying quarterly taxes, so that's just essentially how much money I've already given to the IRS from last year. So that is it, and why I spent $70,000 in business expenses last year. Even when I say it, it sounds crazy that I spent $70,000 in expenses last year. But looking through the categories, even looking back, I'm like, I remember spending that. I understand. A lot of it was just kind of getting, first of all, just trying to buy things in bulk, trying to buy as many things in bulk as possible. And now I see why a lot of times when you're first getting started with a business, you end up being in the red and the negative in the first couple years, because you're trying to get traction and trying to just reinvest that money back into supplies, back into business, and keep growing. And I totally understand why in the beginning you're in the red, because it's a lot of investment up front. It's a lot. It's not just your cost of goods. It's so much more that's involved to make the process so much easier. And I'm even thinking in my head right now, I'm even thinking ahead in time on how to make my candle kits more efficient in the future, because right now they are not efficient at all. And I just keep trying more and more to make things more efficient. Even getting this wax melter back here for my candles and this whole station just made everything 10 million times more efficient. So just slowly but surely trying to grow and spend that money on it. I feel like it's worth it, and then you can continue to grow in the long term. So that is what I intend to do. But with that, I think I'm going to end today's video right here. I hope this was helpful and informative. If it was, make sure to leave it a thumbs up, as well as subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, don't forget to follow me over on Instagram at MemoryBoxCandleCo, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys. Is that if you don't take that, if you purchase supplies and you don't actually use that within that calendar year and sell that within your product, so if you don't actually sell what you purchased that was supposed to be sold, oh my God, how do I,